Welcome to Pop Culture Roulette for all your pop culture needs. We're America's podcast. And now we've just listened to our amazing new theme song from Nick Testa at Night Beast.
Is it really new at this point?
Nah, I mean it's still on the newer side. I think this is only the fourth or fifth episode we've done since we've had it, or maybe even only the third episode. I don't even know what
I
episode
feel
we're up
like
to
we've
right
had
now.
it for months now.
No, I don't know how long we've had it, but anyway, I figured let's talk about a subject that we've talked about before, but never really quite in depth. I know it's one of Jeremy's favorite subjects because, well, he is the master of all things game show.
I thought we were going with conspiracy theories.
Well, that's his other favorite topic, but
Uh,
he has made some pretty good game shows that you and I have been involved with. It's always entertaining to listen to the ones that we don't get invited to.
can we put in
Uh,
a round of applause for Jeremy here?
I mean, listen, if you want editing skills, you're talking to the wrong guy. I know how to. I did have to fix my own audio track last time, though. Like, man, something's wrong there. But anyway, that was on me, not on either of you this time.
Damn straight.
How
Anyway,
dare you?
Yeah, what do you mean this
This
time?
time,
Yeah, table flipping moment came early.
and it wasn't my table flipping moment. Anyway,
I gotta say,
uh,
I think mine's pretty smooth and velvety most of the time.
yeah, actually, you're right. You're almost never the problem. Um, it's somebody else who likes to sit too far away from the microphone.
Who, me? I'll just talk it at this bottom.
Oh, all right.
Bane.
It would be painful for you. All right. Anyway, we're going to talk about game shows. We're going to talk about our love of game shows. Let's talk about where did the game show come from? Where did it start? I
Was it
have,
A here? Was it B?
There.
There.
it would have been much better had I made a game show about the history of game shows, but I didn't because Jeremy, you're the game show master, and I developed this topic, not you. So it's just a straight history lesson. So
All right.
I'm gonna make it boring.
Perfect. Lay it on us.
All right. So the very first TV game show was May 31st, 1938.
Holy crap.
So pretty
Wow.
much like right towards the beginning of the invention of TV in general. Which, by the way, there's this podcast I've recently discovered called Omnibus, and it's relevant to today's topic because it's hosted by Ken Jennings. It's kind of a deep dive on some more obscure history in general, but apparently back towards the beginning of TV when it was more of the wild, wild west of you could do whatever you want, there were more networks. And like there was this whole other network that ran a whole bunch of shows and like some of the first sitcoms that just like disappeared because it couldn't keep up with ABC and NBC and or it was NBC and CBS and then ABC came along later. And then those of you who are too young, I'm looking more in Jeremy's direction, might not remember that Fox didn't become really a network until like 88, 89.
Yep. You think I remember that when I was two?
Ah, that's true. You might not either. So there used to be a day when it was just Fox, ABC. Well, it was just ABC, NBC, and CBS, and then Fox was like, "We're going to be the fourth." And then later on, the it was the UPN, which eventually became the CW. I think that was actually the UPN and WB joining forces to
I say
become the
UPN
CW.
was 24 and CW was 18.
Well, there used to be the WB and the UPN, and then I think they kind of joined forces. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The very first episode was a game show was the Spelling Bee.
Oh,
Sounds terrible.
It lasted four episodes, maybe five, depending on which paragraph you were reading on the very small Wikipedia page about it.
Was it
So you
a legitimately spelling bee?
it was legitimately a spelling bee. It was
Ugh.
so even in 1938, where I'm sure Nielsen didn't exist and TV ratings didn't exist, people were like, "This shit sucks. Get it off
Right.
the air."
And people that
For
didn't have much to watch at all,
right
even then, like, were just
Yeah.
like, nope.
The first TV first starts, they're still like, this is trash.
for this is the first thing that's ever been on TV. Well, that's it. They just all throw the TVs outside though. Well, that's a dumb
Yeah.
invention. However, it was hosted by a guy named Freddie Greasewood,
Oh,
uh,
greasy.
which he has a little bit of an interesting history. He also commentated on the very first live broadcast of a Wimbledon tennis match,
All right.
and he also commentated on the very first live outdoor BBC broadcast, and it happened to be of the coronation of King George VI. So the man apparently was just like the first when it came to TV. He was the first game show host, the first sports announcer, the first like like he was just like I guess he was just in the right spot at the right time to be the first for like everything. So next time you're on Jeopardy, remember the name Freddie Greasewood.
I mean, we just called him old greasy here.
That is true. So we'll probably get that wrong because we'll call him the wrong name.
Yeah, old greasy.
Who was old greasy?
Yeah, Jeremy already forgot his name.
Ryan Greasewood?
Right. Um, the first known radio game show was called Information Please. It lasted from May 17th, 1938 to April 22nd, 1951.
Damn. It's a
So
lot of
apparently,
information they're giving out.
so apparently that was a much more popular game show. Although I do think it quite interesting that both of them started pretty much around the same. I mean, the radio show started May 17th, the TV show started May 31st. So 1938, when I'm guessing in the very early ages of TV, there must have been something in the air of like, let's do game shows. Like, so do you think like, because I mean, that idea doesn't come from nowhere. Like, they're not just like, hey, we've invented this new concept altogether. Let's throw it on the TV first. Like, does that mean like pub trivia existed and they're like, let's figure out how to get this on TV? Or
Hmm.
I would like to assume so.
because I mean,
I'm a big fan of pub trivia.
pub trivia is fun. It's always a good time. Something we should do more often. But no, that now that I don't live in the same town with both of you, it's a little harder to get together. But whatever. That's
We also have busy schedules.
that too. That and our work schedules don't really line up anymore either. So,
Yes.
all right. Um,
Oh, so many reasons.
I mean, we can just keep coming up with excuses. We don't actually like each other.
That's,
Top 10 reasons why we can't do pub trivia.
yeah. Why we don't hang out.
All right.
I work
Looking at
second
us,
shift.
We
We mentioned that
we've
actually.
we've interviewed 100 people. Top 10 reasons they. All right. The first one to air on commercially licensed TV. So basically, like we've left the early days of TV of the Wild Wild West where you could pretty much do anything because nobody was regulated. The FCC didn't really exist, and we've now moved. This is a bit of a weird history. So it's a show called Truth or Consequences.
All right.
The very first episode was in 1941. However, it didn't go back on the air until 1950.
So the second episode?
Yes, there was 9 years between the first two episodes.
What happened?
They did
That
not
was the
talk
consequences. They got it wrong.
See,
They
yeah.
didn't. They didn't
Should-
tell the truth, and the consequences was 9-year probation.
from 1950 to 1988. The show ran.
Oh,
It moved from day TV to prime TV, back to day TV to syndicated. It changed from CBS and NBC to syndicate. Like it went all over the place, but it ran for a long time. But that started. So the TV game shows really didn't get going until like 50. This show was like the first one, and it was very popular. Bob Barker actually hosted it from 1956 to 1975. We'll get to his other show here in a little bit. Where we know Bob Barker from is a little bit more famous, but this is where he got his start. Because as we know, as we are game show aficionados, Mark Summers wasn't just Double Dare. He was also a whole bunch of other ones.
Yep. Unwrapped.
However,
Is that a game show?
in the late 50s, however, there was the quiz show Scandal. Have either of you watched that movie Quiz Show with John Turturro?
No.
No.
Wasn't our assignment.
No, I was just hoping that maybe you guys tried to watch a movie with a little bit of enlightenment, education, not just
Was there a fart joke in it?
probably not. No.
Well, then I didn't see it.
There wasn't a.
It's
there
been a
wasn't
long weekend.
It wasn't a talking dog, or
No one got hit in the nuts.
not that I can remember.
Well, yeah, I must
anyway,
have missed that one.
In the late 50s, there was a quiz show Scandal. It wasn't just one quiz show. 21 was the movie that was the show that the movie was about because that was like the big one. But basically, what happened, to sum it up in very uneducated terms, and I'm going to get some of it wrong, was that the networks or the advertisers decided that in the early days of the quiz shows, too many contestants were stupid. And there were too many people just going on and not getting enough questions right. And so it wasn't interesting. So they would pick a contestant who was a little more interesting and juice it a little bit. Give them the answers, or, make sure that the other guy didn't get answers right, so that the guy that made the contestant that looked a little better or was more entertaining won. The American public found out. Somebody who was a little bitter about it, a little salty about the fact that they didn't get to win, went to the news media and talked. It was like 5 or 6 shows, but that's considering at the time in late 50s, that was a lot. I mean, now it'd be a drop in the bucket, but at the time it was a lot. They were fixing straight up rigging or just straight up faking the results. However, the problem was is that the early written laws of the FCC didn't technically make it illegal. Like, it wasn't physically or technically a crime in the eyes of the government to do it because the laws had been written so long. It destroyed confidence, and it almost ended the game show craze altogether. Like, if it wasn't for like basically Truth or Consequences, like, I think game shows would have died altogether in the late 50s, but it didn't. And then we went on to have much more awesome things. But they strengthened the laws and rewrote laws. And in 1960, Dwight Eisenhower signed a new law as president to say game shows cannot be rigged. If they are rigged, the people who are producing it, directing it, the people who are in charge of it can face real jail time and real financial problems. So every game show that we watch on TV, theoretically, technically, cannot be rigged. Because if they get caught, there is very real jail time involved in doing. All right. So do we want to take a guess as to what? So I'll try to make a game like on the spot. I know I'm not as good at it as Jeremy is, but what do we think? What do we think the longest running game show in TV history is?
Wheel of Fortune.
All right. It's a good guess. It's up there.
I'll say Jeopardy.
It's also up there, but we're not close. It
Price is Right.
There we go. That is the longest running. It started in 1972 and it is still running.
The Price is Wrong.
There was a version that ran from 56 to 65. Then it took a couple-year break and kind of revamped, changed some of the rules a little bit.
Do they count those years as part of its run?
I couldn't find that information. I don't think they do. But because when I was looking at like the longest running game shows, like they had like Wheel of Fortune, but like Wheel of Fortune was on for like this year and then like took a 3-year break. And then so like I think Jeopardy technically was on the air before Price is Right, but they took like a 6-year break. And because it was the same, I think because the Price is Right changed enough of it from what it was originally to what it is now, they don't count that original run, even though the same people produced it with the same name.
Gotcha.
But anyway, we're at over 9,000 episodes.
Jeez.
Damn.
It's over 9,000.
So who wants to binge out on some Price is Right with me?
Think about that. You watch an episode a day.
We'll do a podcast.
9,000 days.
I mean, that would be a guaranteed never-ending podcast. I mean, we're just now over 100 episodes. We'd barely be out of, let's see, what it started in 72. We'd probably still be in 72. I think what helps The Price is Right over a lot of other game shows that have been on the air for as long is that because they're a daytime show, they do run like 200 plus new episodes a year. Like, I mean, if not 300, I mean, they turn and burn those things, like mad. I mean, it also, I mean, Jeopardy. I bet you, Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune also have some pretty high numbers. All right, then. Oh, it's also one of the longest running network shows just in general.
Hmm.
All right, who is the longest serving game show host?
Oh man. Let's see. There's Bob Barker, Alex
Trebek.
Trebek.
Okay.
Who's that other weird guy that was he would always kiss the contestants on the lips. I can't think of that guy's name.
Oh, not just Gene Rayburn? No,
Richard
No,
Dawson.
Richard
that's
Dawson.
it.
Yeah. No, none of those guys.
The Doss.
Bob Barker, Alex Trebek are very high on the list, but they have been eclipsed by one guy.
Who is that other dude?
Other dude.
You're gonna kick yourself when I say it.
I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna
You're
think
gonna
of
get
it.
there. All right.
Is it older? Not newer.
It's definitely. I mean, he's been on the air for a very long time, so he has to be a little on the older side.
Sajak?
There we go. I knew one of you would
All
get it.
right.
Pat Sajak.
Pat Sajak was the host of, or I guess he's still technically the host of Wheel of Fortune, because Ryan Seacrest hasn't taken over yet. But when he's done, it will have been for 41 seasons.
Jesus.
Good Lord.
Yeah. I mean, he has been the host of Wheel of Fortune for almost as long as I've been alive, which is crazy. Oh, it also makes me feel really old that I'm older than Wheel of Fortune, or at least not older than Wheel of Fortune, older than Pat Sajak hosting Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
Pat Sajak.
But all right, so let's talk about. Well, first off, I guess this is a conversation we'll have before we get to what do you think constitutes a game show? Does it have to be like a question and answer trivia style, or does like Wipeout count as a game show?
I'd say I hope not, because my list is all over this board.
Well,
That's a
that's what, but that was that's my question.
I think a game show would be anything you could technically win a prize on.
Okay, so because I was debating. I mean, I wouldn't put it on my list, but I'm trying to use names of things that are not on my list, but like, so is Survivor a game show then?
I would count that.
Yeah, reality game show.
Okay, America's Got Talent.
Hmm.
Probably would fall under the same category, I would think.
All
Yeah.
right. Um, the other one that I debated on, and I do have a couple on my list, was the cooking, because it's not like the cooking competition shows. Would you consider those game shows?
I mean, based on my list, I would say yes.
Okay, then. All right, then.
It's
Now that we've identified basically anything, all right. So your basic definition of a game show is anything that you can win some kind of prize or money.
Yeah.
Can we broaden that even further?
Yes, let's do it.
Because I was debating whether I should put Kenny versus Spenny on the list because that's technically a game show too, but there's no prize. It's just two people competing like to do something. And at the end, there's a humiliation.
Oh, okay. So
And they
would that,
used to air it on Game Show Network, actually. So,
okay. So would that make Impractical Jokers a game show?
oh, another reality game show?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think there's a big, like, you could branch it off. You could have like your reality game shows. There's like cooking game show. There's physical game show. There's,
Okay. All right.
humiliation game show, whatever you want to call it.
Now, but my guess is I'm trying to think of by the letter of the law, I'm guessing that because there's no actual prize, like Impractical Jokers or Kenny versus Spenny, could probably not fall under the legal term of game show so that they can do a little bit more editing.
True. That is
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Where like I think like I know that a lot of people like to talk about how rigged America's Got Talent is or Survivor is, but I think because they're technically a game show and because there is a actual prize to be won, I think if they got caught cheating or if the producers were caught rigging it, they could go to real jail and serve lots of, millions of dollars worth of fines. So I mean, I just, I'm pretty sure that that's where I don't, that's where I was trying to define what a game show was
Yeah.
I
because
mean, this is our podcast. We can define whatever we want as a game show.
right, because we don't have to follow the law. The FCC is not coming at us, not yet anyway.
Yeah.
The FCC hasn't come to the podcast world just yet. So,
Yeah. The
we,
FCC will
we,
let us be.
we, all right. So let's go, Justin. All right. I know that you never put them in number order. They're just how you felt, but,
It's just a giant list that I write down that I randomly choose from.
okay. So what is your number one randomly chosen game show? What is your
Number one on this list that I wrote down was MXC, the
oh,
Most Extreme Elimination Challenge.
okay.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. Sounds like
I
you
am.
might be.
I remember. Yes.
Yeah, I wrote down a little bit. Like it had 5 seasons and it ran from 2003 to 2007, and it had 81 episodes. That was one of the first ones that I thought of when I was thinking of game shows.
Now, did they have the two? Are there two different versions of MXC? Like the version that has the comedians doing the clearly fake commentary, and then a non-commentary version where they just show the games? Or am I remembering a different show?
And you might be thinking of a different, I don't know, because MXC is, I think it's a real game show, but the MXC part is all dubbed over.
Okay,
So
because
it's something I think America stole, and we're like, we're going to make our own commentary.
well, it's a Japanese game. If memory serves, it's a Japanese game show that because nobody in America speaks Japanese, or not very, 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 very few people do. We just hired a bunch of comedians, like, VH1 worst or best week ever, and just had them like kind of make up their own stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
made up
That
names like Guy
Mhm.
Leduc.
Yeah.
that those the Japanese game show is a subset that I left off of this because I don't know enough about it to talk at any sort of, authoritative sense. Not that I am anyway. I make shit up and just pull it out of my ass. But the Japanese game show is another subset of an animal that I don't think the three of us will ever truly understand.
There's some really funny ones out there, though.
There I've read I've read stories that like if you're an American who like goes to Japan or lives there for any length of time, you'll probably end up on a Japanese game show because they love having Americans on the game show.
All right.
Do you ever
Yeah.
watch any like random clips of game
I
shows
will,
online?
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, and you're just like, well, some of them you're like, how does that make the air in Japan? Because clearly they have different rules than we do. And two, how does anybody sign up for that?
It does
Like
seem like a lot of like torture.
some of those MXC ones were just like, how have they not killed anybody?
Yeah.
Jeremy, what's number one on your list?
I'll say Double Dare right away.
See, there we go. I knew Double Dare
Nope.
was going to be
That
on
was
the
on
list.
there.
Yeah,
All
big
right.
fan of that one. I mean, Mark Summers is a great host, and like that set as a kid, like seeing people go through that obstacle course at the end, and like the bright colors and all the slime. I mean, that's what more can you ask for?
I mean, as a kid, did you want anything more than to be on that game show?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, it would have been so much fun.
That's all I wanted, and I had no idea how to do it because that was in the pre-internet days where, like, I don't know how people actually got on that show, but I
Right.
I would
Yeah.
have I would have loved to have been like, the nose picking one,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
or just,
Going down
yeah,
like the slides or
oh yeah,
like
or
yeah.
the
Mhm.
the pool of like chocolate pudding or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I remember like always getting angry at like when they do like the Double Dare challenges. I'd be like, I could do better than that. Like, move your ass, you stupid families. Like, we should
oh
be
yeah,
up there.
the family double there because that was like they were basically the same show. There was one where it was just the kids, and then one where it was like the whole family.
But I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
Yeah.
found the family one to be so much more frustrating. Like you said, you're
Yeah.
just watching them and you're like, come on.
Yeah. And then there was actually like they spun it off for like Double Dare 2000 later. And I think they had a different host for that one. But it was Mark Summers, man. He's what a great host.
oh he defined a lot of our childhoods. I mean, granted, I know I'm a little older than you, so it was probably a little different, but that was back in the day when the Disney Channel or Nickelodeon was a cable only channel, but for whatever reason, like those shows moved over to regular network and they would air. So who knows how long after they were on Nickelodeon I got to see them, but they were on like syndication on like regular networks. Like
Hmm.
so, I mean, I did get to watch a lot. Or when I'd go over to a friend's house, I'd watch them. I loved those ones. Actually, I'm kind of surprised I didn't write it down, but I didn't. So
Do you remember a show that he hosted called What Would You Do? It had
Oh,
like he had like a studio audience of kids and like he'd bring random people up and ask like what would you do kind of questions, and like they'd get to like ride in this pie coaster and they'd have like all these different variations of ways to get pied, and like they do a lot of like man in the street kind of stuff outside of Universal Studios. It probably wasn't very long lived. I remember watching it like for a very short period of time as a kid, and it kind of came and went. But Mark
I
Summers, he hosted that one too.
I don't remember that. I do think, given what we know about Mark Summers as a human now, it's amazing what he did as a host of Double Dare and some of the other Nickelodeon stuff, knowing how like deeply OCD he was,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, and just knowing like how like much of a germaphobe and like just like his whole it must have taken everything in his power to go on set and do some of that stuff every day. Like like more power to him, which only makes him that much cooler or that much, better. All right. I think number one on my list is probably, well, it's Jeopardy. It's a bit of a cop out, but I still love watching Jeopardy. It has the ability to alternately make me feel really smart, but really dumb, like within seconds of each other. Like,
yeah, I like the
Yeah.
clips on some of the Jeopardy when they do like the sports questions.
yeah.
And
And
you just
and
see all the contestants don't know it.
oh, did you see that clip that was circulating a couple years ago when they had like it was a category on like baseball, and they were like the easiest questions. It was like, what team is from Miami? All three contestants got like all five questions wrong, and it's like, oh, why can't I be on that episode? I would have cleaned up.
Yeah.
Of course,
You're like,
you know,
you're like
they had
category I know.
they had five questions about baseball, and then probably like two categories over, it was like 17th century romantic opera. Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I would have done well on that one, and that one I would have I never would have rung in on because I would have gotten
Just
nothing right. Like,
you just put the buzzer down.
not gonna answer this question, but I mean,
I'm gonna go take a break.
I like Ken Jennings and Mayim Bialik as a host, but I mean, for me, it's still Trebek. I mean, it also gave us some of the best Saturday Night Live sketches of all time, with Will Ferrell being Trebek.
Heck yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you know, but I mean that's my. I don't get, now that I don't have regular TV, I don't get to watch it as often because I don't necessarily hunt it down on Hulu the way I should. But
Cool.
That's fair.
all
Well,
right.
I currently have Cat sitting on my list, but I remember the second one I wrote down was it's Cutthroat Kitchen.
Oh.
Oh, all right,
Like
all right.
a lot of I've realized it's a lot of like cooking shows in general. The game shows, Cutthroat Kitchen is probably my favorite one. I like the idea of being able to sabotage them as you're trying to make these dishes.
That one made my honorable mention list. I do like that show, and Alton
It,
Brown is just so cool.
and it ran for 15 seasons.
Damn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's some of the sabotages. You're like, you're just trying to kill somebody.
yeah. It's like how is that possible? Who
Like,
thinks? I want to know who thought up some of those.
you have 30 minutes to make a lasagna, and you don't get to use anything other than plastic spoons to cook and prep.
Yeah, you have to make your station out of aluminum foil.
You have to make a prep station and out of these paper towels, but at the same time, we're going to have a rain machine above. That was an actual sabotage they had.
That's
Did,
awesome.
did you watch a lot of that or any of that, Jeremy?
I've seen a few. I'm
Yeah.
familiar with it, but I should actually go back and watch some more. It was a fun
Like,
show.
I think one of the sabotages they had to make, what were they making? Hoagies or sub sandwiches? And the bread was like submerged in a fish tank.
Oh,
And you had to
yeah.
try to like figure something out to like get the bread out, like make a shot or something.
And my favorite part is when the judge comes out because they've been behind the screen, so they don't know and they don't, they're not told what any of the punishments were. And they're like, yeah, this bread's a little soggy. And you're just like, if you only knew where that bread came from, you
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be eating it.
That's awesome.
My favorite challenge is one of the ones I loved was they brought a vending machine out and they had to like they were given like a bucket of like nickels and they had to like
Mm.
put like put the machine and everything was like $1, so they had to put like a dollar worth of
Yeah.
nickel.
And it was something like bubble gum in front of like the ham they needed.
Right. So they had to do like $2 worth of stuff to get to the.
Yeah.
One of the ones that I thought was the craziest was they did like a high school or like a college and they had one of them had to put uh they had to do their entire prepping on top of a locker that they were shoved in. So
Mm.
like they blindly had to do all the prepping above their head.
That's
I,
nuts.
I like the episodes too when they get the judges, so the actual chefs are the contestants and all the money they raise is for like charity and stuff. But just
Uh,
seeing the things that they can create with getting like all of their utensils taken for like a Swiss Army belt that's got everything on zip ties,
Or
on zip strings.
or whenever they would get like a go-kart and they had to like two or three people would all have to move around the kitchen at the same time. Like,
Yeah, because they were in a car.
yeah, Cutthroat Kitchen. I probably should have put it higher, but it was on my honorable mention list.
Yeah, that's a great show.
Nice. All right. My second one is, I'll say Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yep, there we
Remember
go.
the
That was
Yeah,
Nickelodeon show?
that was also one. All right, so far I'm 2 for 2 on what I thought Jeremy's list would be.
I'll throw a curve in for the last one.
Okay.
But this one I just really enjoyed. Again, the nostalgia factor. It was not such a memorable host. This was Kirk Fogg was his name. I don't know if that was a stage name, but if that was his real name, that's pretty cool.
If you had told me Mark Summers was the host of that one, I would have believed you. In my book, he just hosted every kids show back then.
yeah. Anything Nickelodeon, it was just Mark Summers jumping
Mark
from set to
Summers.
set.
No, this was Kirk Fogg, and it was a game show where you learned a lot because you had Olmec who would dish out a lot of stories about history. Well, there was actually kind of legends and stuff, so it wasn't like a lot of accurate things, but there was some cool different historical stuff in it, and it was fun. They got to go in the temple at the end, and that was another thing that you wished you could do as a kid. Like you got to see them go through all the different decorated rooms and struggle with the Shrine of the Silver Monkey constantly. Like they couldn't put that damn thing together, no matter how hard they turned it. You'd just be yelling at the kid, like, if they put me in that set, I'd be
Uh,
putting that monkey together. I wouldn't get caught by the guards.
that's another one that I really wanted to be on.
Didn't you earn tokens that you could bribe the guards with?
Yeah, yeah. Pendants of Life, I think they were called or
Wow,
something.
bribe tokens.
I just remember like everybody had their own favorite. Like there was like the different team. Every team had like a different color. Like there was the I don't even remember every animal.
Blue
There-
barracudas,
There's a barracuda.
silver something, green monkeys. Silver
Okay.
Snakes.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it was. I mean, obviously it was a different set of kids every time. Like, now what I don't remember, and my memory is a little hazier on the Temple one compared to Double Dare. But did those kids know each other before they showed up on set, or were they just like thrown together and like, here you go, you're a team now?
I always got that impression that they didn't know each other because a lot of those teams seem to lack chemistry. Like the certain chemistry needed to get across that river or the steps of knowledge.
Because it was like a different set of colors every not like
It
every
was
episode, but
it
like,
was the same colors. There was just
okay,
different contestants.
okay, all right.
Right? Yeah, they're always use the same colors because they just
Same
had
colors, yeah.
probably the boxes of like this green monkey shirts.
Oh,
And they would just give them, they would randomly get a shirt, and this is your color, this is your team.
now they made a movie of that, like out of the game show, not too long ago, didn't they?
Unfortunately, they did.
Oh, okay. So shouldn't have brought that up. I take it.
No, I didn't see it, but I
Oh,
watched the trailer and I just decided I probably not. This isn't for me. Like I'm past this. I don't know. It looked a little too not my demographic anymore.
okay, all right.
Kirk Fogg was in it though. Maybe I should go watch it. Maybe I'm
Find
wrong.
find out if that's his real name.
Just
Yeah.
for nostalgia alone.
Yeah, maybe it'll be all right. Hit the nostalgia spot.
Because it wasn't a movie about the game show. It was like if the game show was like a real life thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know how you turn that into a movie, but they managed to do like three Mortal Kombat movies. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
so all right. The second one for me, it's a little bit more obscure. I'm hoping at least one of you remember it, but early 2000s, Comedy Central had a show called Beat the Geeks.
Oh yeah.
Yep, I do remember that.
Didn't last. I looked it up. It didn't last as long as I thought it did. It was only on for 2 years. They did do like 80 or 90 episodes in those 2 years, but I mean, I guess that's the beauty part about running a game show is you just like you knock out however many episodes in the course of a couple weeks and then you can air it like one 30-minute episode at a time. But I love
Yeah.
Beat the Geeks. I almost put Win Ben Stein's Money. I should have put that down in my honorable mention, but I didn't. But that was every night when I got home from work when I was living in DC. I watched Beat the Geeks and Win Ben Stein's Money. And I was like, man, I should try to figure out how to get on a game show.
Let's see, what else can I just randomly choose from? Jeremy took that one. This is another older one that I would watch a lot of reruns on from like game show networks and stuff. Was Classic Concentration.
Okay.
Hmm.
I think that was might have been Trebek as the host of the
It might.
classic one.
It might have been.
So it was, I think it was kind of a lot like Get the Picture, if you go from Nickelodeon, where
Nice.
yeah, you would have the board of like 1 through 24, 25, and you'd have to try to match the cards and whatever, like, and you'd get the prize, and it would show a picture,
Oh yeah.
and the picture was like, not a riddle. What's the word I'm looking for? Like a slang or a saying where you'd have to like figure it out based on the clues of the picture. So it'd be like B plus whatever, and then you'd have to figure out what it was.
So kind of like a pictogram.
Yeah, you'd have to figure out what it was trying to say, but you'd have to try to clear the board. And it would show the prizes you could win. And I was watching clips of it earlier when I was doing my research. And one lady got really excited when she matched to win a compact disc player. And
Nice.
I was just like, man, how far we've come.
Yeah. That's funny.
But I would see old reruns of that on the Game Show Network, and I was like, I like that. So
I
there's a theme with mine where it's like food, puzzles, and people getting hurt.
I wish that Game Show Network had like a streamer service or had had joined up with Hulu or Peacock or somebody because I love like when I would go visit my parents in DC, they would pretty much just watch the Game Show Network like all day. So like I love watching those old get like Match Game is so much fun watching the old ones.
Yes.
I don't know who any of these celebrities are, but like it's so and so, and my mom was like, "Oh," I'm like, "I no, I don't know who that one is." Like, but yeah,
Right.
that network is a lot of fun, and they do a lot of their own new stuff too. But watching the old ones could be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Hmm. Oh, am I up?
Unless
See,
you, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So this is well, do you think it's going to be another Nickelodeon one?
See, this is where I think you're trying to throw a curve to throw
I
us
don't
off. But
I don't think it is. I have an idea in my head where you're going.
Well, I was gonna say Nick Arcade and go all three Nickelodeon because I really love that show too. But I'm gonna pick something that's not Nickelodeon, and I'll just pick something that I also watched a lot of on a network, and it was One versus 100.
Ah,
oh
not where I thought you were going.
no, not where I was going with that.
What did you think?
I thought you were
It
going to go Nick Arcade.
it'll be in my honorable mentions.
I should have stuck with Nick Arcade because I can't really speak too passionately about One versus 100, but it was a great show. I mean,
It
it
was.
was fun.
It was. That was Bob Saget, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what was really fun? When they moved it over to the Xbox and you
Yes.
could play it on Xbox Live.
Yes. They need to bring that
Yeah.
back. That was
Yes,
fun as
that
hell.
was so I would cancel plans to do that show because I was so like I'm gonna win. And like what did you win? Like maybe a digital copy of a video game, like
Yeah, it was like a legit prize though. It was cool.
like in like some Xbox bucks or
Yeah. It
but it
was
was so
cool.
much fun watching that show or participating in it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good host. I mean, he couldn't he was funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my pick.
All right. For my third pick, I went, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Oh, nice.
All right.
The nerd in me had played that video game, and when they made a game show out of it, like it was so cool. Like, you know, I wanted to be on that show probably more than I wanted to be on like Double Dare, but
Hmm.
it lasted longer than I thought it did, so I must have stopped watching it at some point. But and I bet it's cheesy compared to like other one. Like if I tried to rewatch old episodes, but
That's
I had a love for that.
a good one. I used to catch that every once in a while before school, but not super familiar with it. We did have the game as one of the modules in our tech ed class, and whenever we get on that part, I'd be like, I don't know where the fuck you are, Carmen. We'll be back on SimCity.
Yeah.
Much better at that.
Go back to the Oregon Trail.
Yeah. But
Yeah, well, I mean I guess that tells you what kind of kid I was because that was like I I literally would get out the almanac or the like we had like one of like those like not pocket encyclopedias but like one of like the like condensed encyclopedia because like you had like the version that you could just have like one book like
mhm.
near the computer so I could play that game. Oh, I was yeah yeah
Did you ever play any type? This is a little unrelated, but typing games growing up too? Did you have those in school or
I'm
as
sure
a
we
kid?
did. I'm sure we did, but somehow I managed to avoid taking typing in high school,
Lucky you.
which yeah, which is something I probably regret. But I don't really do anything computer wise that required because typing out papers in college was difficult because I was like, nah, nah, nah.
That's still how I type. Hunt
But
and peck.
you
Home
know,
roll, baby.
I don't work in a field where I need to be able to type 70 words a minute or whatever the
Right.
appropriate.
Right.
Whatever. Yeah.
I barely have to know how to spell in my profession. So,
I grew up with Mavis Beacon, so I'm pretty proficient.
well, that's good. Mavis Beacon. Mavis Beacon, I knew where she was, but I never hung out in her neighborhood. So, all right, you want to throw out a couple of your honorable mentions or
Yeah, sure. Like I said, mine is a lot of what did I say they were? Like puzzles, food, and pain. Like Supermarket Sweep,
Nice.
which is where I thought you were going when you decided not go Nickelodeon.
Almost, that was in my head as well.
Like I like that one, and then also Guys Grocery Games where they turned it into a cooking show.
Oh yeah.
The one thing I don't like the supermarket sweep working as long as I have in retail, like no store is that looks that nice.
Right.
Like I don't know what they're on.
Yeah.
Everything's where it belongs, and everything's like looks so full. Nope, not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
whenever
needs
I
to be
watch,
way more outs.
Yeah,
whenever I watch Guys Grocery Game, I'm like, yep, this is a fake grocery store. This is not a real one. If for no
you
other
can
reason,
tell.
if for no other reason, uh, most grocery stores don't have giant cooking sets in the middle. But yeah, no, they're never out of anything. Like it's always everything is faced properly.
No, I like those, and then when they give you the clues too, and you got to figure out what the food item is. I liked that part of the game. Wipeout is on here.
Okay.
That's one show I always wanted to go on. I think I would have been a blast on that show.
I've never wanted to go on Wipeout. I like watching it, but no, I'm good.
Oh
You
no,
see
I thought
they're bringing it back with John Cena as the host.
yes, and what is her name? Nicole Byer,
The Nailed It lady?
the host of Nailed It,
Oh, okay.
who is what is also on my list as a game show that I really like is Nailed It because that's a cake show where they try to make cakes and they turn out awful.
The wife and I are burning through Nailed It Christmas right now.
Mm,
And I think we're gonna start watching the regular Nailed It because we're just dying. It's so funny.
it's
Considering,
hilarious.
Really?
yeah. Oh, it's so funny.
Check it out.
Especially
Yeah.
given how much, and I probably should have put it. There's the seasonal baking, the holiday, the Christmas, or like Christmas is the holiday, spring, holiday, and Halloween baking champion, and then they had the summer. So all four seasons. I didn't put those down because I don't know if I prefer any one of the others. But like we watch those, and like at the end of every episode, like generally speaking, the cake that they have is like some sort of level of perfection that we're just like, nope, could never do that. There's no way I'll ever be on this show. And we were
Yeah.
talking about it this morning. We were watching an episode over breakfast. We're like, we could probably actually go on this show and do okay.
Like the Halloween Baking Championship is the one I like the most with John Henson.
Oh yeah.
That one's on my list. And the only like other really non-food one is 25 words or less. That one I
What,
enjoy. That one I think that'd be fun to do.
what's the premise?
Uh, you get 25 words or less. So there's the two teams, and I can't remember the host, but it's the team is two celebrities and one contestant. And they'll have like a list of like 8 words, and they have to try to get the celebrities to guess it. But they start off in bidding, like, okay, one will say 24, 22, until someone picks it. And then they have to try to give them clues to get to say all 8 words. And they only have that many words to say it.
Hmm. Who hosts that one?
Short white lady
Oh, okay.
Short white lady.
might have been on The View at one point.
Oh, okay. No.
Oh, what is her?
Rosie O'Donnell?
No, I would remember her name. What is? Okay, give me. Keep throwing out names here so we don't have to edit this.
I'm out of white ladies.
Tig Notaro.
Meredith Vieira.
Ah, yeah, I never would have gotten there.
She is 5'3", so I mean,
Yeah, that is pretty short.
short white lady.
Yeah.
All right. You got any honorable mentions, Jeremy? Or
Yeah, I got a few. Let's see. Some more game shows from Nickelodeon that I almost included would have been Finders Keepers, where they go through the fake house and like try to find items in the rooms.
Sounds like they're just robbing people.
It was definitely, yeah, teaching kids at an early age. Here's how you do a beanie very quickly.
was
Uh,
was it like clue based? Like you had to like answer a clue to like go look in a specific room? Like,
Yeah,
remember
like he'd give you a riddle and it'd be like, yeah, it'd be like, it's in the drawer. And yeah, you go find the item in the drawer, and then like
Yeah.
a bunch of kids in that, like in the other shows, would be completely oblivious to the clues and just like look all over the place and just make a mess because they
And
didn't really understand.
you'd be yelling at them, I can
Yeah,
do this.
I can read it. Get some comprehension skills, damn it.
Why you should let me on this show?
But that was a fun one. There was one, I think, Justin, you mentioned it, Get the Picture.
Yep.
Who was interesting. It was hosted by Mike O'Malley, who went on to do a lot of acting. He was on a sitcom Yes Dear.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Didn't he do another game show too?
Yes.
Like
Guts.
Guts?
Yes.
He was so skinny and young.
Yeah. Oh, time. What a cruel, cruel thing. Yeah, Guts is a good one too. The aggro Craig, the super aggro Craig. Another.
I would get so mad watching them do the basketball where they have to like bungee to the hoop. Like, how could you not do this?
That was your game show rage moment.
Yeah.
All the unathletic people. You don't belong on that set. And then another honorable mention: the '90s nostalgia game show. Yeah.
Any news on when that might return? Or?
I'd like to do something really soon. Maybe like over winter break we could get something together because I'll have some time off of school for a little while. Can do something a little bigger.
Okay, all right. A little bit of a sweep there, maybe.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that's probably it. I'm sure I'll think of a bunch after we're done recording. But
well, that's what happened
when
we did. That's what we did when we did our music episode a couple episodes ago.
True. Yeah. There is one really quick. I'm sorry. There is one where people like were deprived of sleep, and then they had to compete.
Cram.
That's a good one. That was fun.
They would give them like all the answers to the questions, and then they would make them like stay up, and they would ask them the questions.
Yeah.
I think it was Cram or something like that.
I think that's what it was. That sounds right.
Just reminded me of a show that was so much fun. It was hosted by Jaleel White, called Blackout.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's what that one was. Oh, Jess and I watched that one, and we would just die laughing, and also be like, "Nope, never would do that." That's why we'd never, because they'd be like a foot off the ground, and they'd be like, "You're 25 feet in the air."
Yeah.
Or they'd be like, "You have to smell this and tell us what it is." It'd be like a hot dog, or like a guy's ass.
Yeah.
Or,
hot dog in a guy's ass.
I don't remember them ever doing that, but
hot dog. That's the X-rated version.
Cinemax. Must have downloaded the wrong episode.
This is Speaking of game shows that are on the X-rated side, it's not really a game. I guess you do win prizes. It's on Max now, called Naked Attraction.
Heard of it, never watched it.
It's a British game show. It's kind of like the dating game, where like, you bring out the girl comes out, she's got like three guys on the other side of a wall, and they have to talk to each other, and she has to decide which one. Well, this one, a guy or a girl comes out fully clothed, and there are 6 booths that go up halfway, and then the people in the booths are butt ass naked.
That's interesting.
Completely unblurred. So then you get to eliminate somebody based on just looking.
Oh my God!
Oh, it's so superficial.
That's horrible.
It's terrible. Oh, it's absolutely terrible. But once you start an episode, you can't turn away because you're just like, what is going on here? Like, like.
If you're the first guy that gets eliminated, do you feel horrible or motivated to try to like better yourself?
Well, that's the thing. Like the girl who eliminates the guy will say like one of is like, that cock's just too big. Like I can't go away. Like, and other ones are like, I like uncircumcised, or I don't like circumcised, or it's too much hair, not enough hair. I like asses with dimples. Like sometimes it's like, this cock is too small. I mean, there's no telling. Like other times, like other times, the guy will come out. There will be 6 naked women, and he's like, "Oh, I like this. Is what
too much like roast beef. Get out of here."
Or not enough.
Yeah. More roast beef.
It's across the, but it's such a,
Oh man.
yeah, it's a train wreck that I can't. I mean, I've only watched a couple episodes, but when I start an episode, I can't stop it because it's a train wreck. It's
I gotta check that one out.
first off, you're just like, wait, how did this make it on the air? Like, there's literal naked, like full on cock, like just hanging, swinging dong.
Do the people that get eliminated get to like say something before they
Yeah,
leave?
right. They get eliminated. Their thing comes up, and then she gets to see the guy fully, and she'll be like, "Well, fuck, got that one wrong." Like,
Oh yeah, that's funny.
or like, "Nope, I was right." Yeah.
Says a guy ever like, "Thank you for the constructive feedback. I'll work on. I'll hang some weights on my dog or something."
Sometimes. Yeah,
Oh,
it's such a bizarre show. I don't know how anybody, like, first off, I don't know how the network was like, you know what? So the people walked in and like, we want to do a dating show. Great, perfect, awesome. Naked. What? Yeah, no, no, no. But they don't get to talk to each other until like the fourth round.
That's insane.
They only get to pick based solely on physical characteristics.
Well, what are the other ones? What are like the next round? Like what's round
So
two?
so the first round is just from the waist down. The second round is from the neck down. And then the third round is like full body. And then the fourth round, when she's down to like three guys, they come out and then she comes out naked. So she's standing there fully naked. Those three are fully naked. Then they get to like ask each other some questions. No, there's the where she gets to ask them like one question and they get to talk, so she gets to hear their voice. And then she gets it down to three guys or two guys. I don't remember.
That's
Uh,
this is insane.
yeah, it's
yeah.
absolutely, and it's just nuts bonkers that this show exists in the first place. I almost want to call up David and Jamie, my English guys, and get them on another episode to get them to explain. First off, A, how this show's on TV in the first place, and two, why it's apparently as popular as it is.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, that's neither here nor there because that's completely away from my honorable mentions, which are way cleaner. So my honorable mentions are Chopped.
Ah, good one
Love
too.
I love Chopped, and the Steve Harvey Family Feud. Like
Oh yeah.
the other Family
Yeah.
Feuds are good, but they're not as good as the Steve Harvey.
I wrote
But
I wrote Family Feud depending on host.
okay. And then you reminded me of me watching a lot of the Game Show Network, and there's one I can't remember the name of it, but it's Leah Remini hosted. It's like a People Puzzler. People Puzzler. That's what it's called. Like basically, it's a crossword, but it's like a pop culture crossword. And Leah Remini, like it's pretty fun. It's
Yeah,
uh,
I remember that one. Yeah.
and then America Says with the guy who you think is gay but he's not.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Um,
about.
that one. I mean, I just love what I could like. It would be enough for me. Like if I had extra money just to pay for cable, like I'd probably just watch Game Show Network like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it was some good background noise back in the day.
Yeah. All right.
John Michael Higgins.
John Michael Higgins. Yeah,
I think. Do you have a Roku?
I do.
Because I think the Roku channel has a game show channel like that.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Like I think Pluto has like a
Hmm.
24/7 Price is Right channel. And they've got a couple other ones. Like I think they've got one for Idiot Test and
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
I,
that.
I thought of another one just now that I'd like to add to my honorable mentions. Baggage.
oh, Jerry Springer.
Yes.
Yeah, that until we accidentally brought up Naked Attraction, the whole dating game concept was not brought up as a, I guess
Yeah.
I guess it falls into the game show category because you do win prizes.
Maybe.
I
Are you
mean,
familiar with baggage, Jeremy?
Oh yeah, I remember baggage.
Baggage was every bit as terrible as Naked Attraction, just in a much different train wreck version. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it would always be on in the break room when I was working third shift. So at like 3 in the morning, we'd be watching baggage. And
Perfect.
some of those things are just bizarre. Like how much of this is real versus how much of this is fake?
And that's what you have to question as to whether or not it's if it's an actual game show, then like I don't know. Like I mean, I'm sure there's a way they can or wording that they can use to make it where they don't have to be a game show so they can fake it. But I don't know. Like, yeah, it was just like, where do you find these people?
Right.
Yeah,
Or where do you find these people that are willing to say this on TV?
True.
pretty crazy. Anything to be on TV, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
5 minutes of fame.
Well, speaking of which, oddly enough, um, I get to make an announcement now. I mean,
Drum
granted,
roll here.
if you've been following our Facebook page or our Instagram, you already know this information. But the reason why we went dark for a couple weeks, a month or two ago, was I was in Atlanta filming a game show.
What?
Now, oh, come on. Yeah, it's called We Are Family, where I was part of 100 contestants, and Anthony Anderson was the host. That at this point, that's about all I can legally tell you. So yeah, so when it comes to it, I will, come January 3rd, when the episodes start airing. So probably I'm pretty sure it's 10 episodes. So whatever 10 weeks past January 3rd is, maybe 12 weeks. I'm sure there'll be a couple of weeks where they don't air an episode. We'll probably do a couple episodes where I talk a lot about my experiences and some stuff. I don't know how much I'm ever going to be allowed to say, but there's some things I would like to tell you about that at this point I can't. That's where I met Nick from Night Beast, who gave us our theme song. He's on the show. I met a lot of really cool people who are going to probably start showing up as guests. I would like to bring one of them on here pretty soon because he's kind of a sports gambling expert, and I wouldn't mind getting some a sports gambling expert to tell us how the odds work and how some of this stuff, like when it's like, oh, -10 or +10, or I don't really know how any of that works. I don't know what that
What? You don't know what that means?
means. Well, I know like it means this team is favored, that team is not favored, but like I don't know. I just or when it's like or not just like the point when this point spread's like -150 or something. I just we'll get him to come on and explain how sports gambling works. We'll get Nick
I'll
to come.
pretend I'm not a gambling addict and
Yeah. Why we have to drive across the border to make bets because we live in a stupid state.
yeah.
You will have to be on your best behavior because he is a Cubs fan.
Oh, great.
Gross.
First Craig Counsell, now this.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of other people I wouldn't mind having on for various different reasons. And we'll slowly have them on here and there as time goes on. I'm hoping that a lot of you out there in the contestant pool who I've talked to are listening. Maybe this is the first episode you've listened to. Hopefully, we haven't terrified you with our conversation of swinging dong.
Run.
But
Run away.
You get used to it.
yeah, just go ahead. Know that's coming. But
Just
anyway,
like and subscribe anyways.
so that's where I was for those couple weeks. That's what I was doing. It's a huge weight off my chest that I'm finally able to tell you the name of the show. Well, I think I could have told you the name of the show beforehand, but the host I wasn't allowed to tell you until now. Anthony Anderson in person, every bit as funny as he is on TV. Him and his Mama Doris, who's also going to be on the show, were hilarious. Some of the stuff that I know won't make the tape, won't make the airing, because it's just not network appropriate, was fucking hilarious. It had me rolling. He seems to be every bit as a nice guy in person as he comes off. Like I did not get to unfortunately have very much interaction with him, but yeah, he came off as a really nice, very personable guy. So I'm hoping that the show does well. I hope that the couple episodes that I'm on, will at least you'll get to see me, so we can
Mhm.
discuss it. But there's going to be a lot of fun conversation when we actually get to talk about it. But that's where I was. So
Nice.
I kind of wanted to, I was struggling with a way to come up with a topic, and then I was like, Friday when they hit the internet with the teaser trailers and the promotional posters, and we're like, you guys can say things now. I'm like, game shows, because that's all I wanted to talk about was I wanted to talk about the fact that I was on a fucking game show, because I mean,
Jeremy hosted and created one. You don't hear him bragging.
okay, I guess. All right,
Yeah, you do. Plenty of times. Go read my writings.
Okay, technically, I guess I technically have been on a game show. Then I'm sorry. I'm gonna be in a. I guess. All right, I'm gonna be in a game show on Fox Network. I've always wanted to be on a game show on Fox Network.
You can say a real one. It's okay.
I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Televised game show.
Oh, okay. There
televised. One day mine will be too.
Yes, and then if you do get to be a televised game show, I probably won't be a contestant, but I want to be like, Guy Lombardo or whatever. Come on now.
I thought you'd be like the guy that gets to be like the final boss that they have to compete against, with questions.
So I'm not you're the next contestant on the 90s game show. Come on down.
Well, I mean, that works too.
Okay, I'll be I'll be like the beast on The Chase.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could be both. Like you come down from your announcer booth at the end and they have to face you.
Done. Right, not a problem.
Okay.
I just want to flip cards on the scoreboard.
So you're our Vanna White?
Yeah, I'm a simple man.
Perfect. All right. Well, then we're gonna cater to a very specific audience,
especially if you wear the dress.
I'm not shaving the beard.
All right.
I mean, I wouldn't expect you to. All right, but that was. I'm so glad that I finally get to make that announcement. I don't have to live in secrecy and shadow anymore, and I can actually tell people without them going, "Hey, so where were you for those 2 weeks in Atlanta? What were you doing?" Can't tell you. Who was the host of that show?
Making new friends.
Who was the host of that show? Not Jamie Foxx. So yeah, all right. Well, anyway, if you weren't one of the game shows that we forgot about, we'll immediately remember.
Crime Scene Kitchen.
Oh, Crime Scene Kitchen. That is a good one. Well, I guess I shouldn't do that because then we'll make fun of game shows that we actually like. How do I end this then? I'll hem and haw and force myself to edit some stuff, but I probably won't because I enjoy making myself look stupid, apparently. If you've had a podcast where you've ran for 215, 220 episodes with nearly the same ending for all of it, but yet you can never come up with one, remember, stupid never walks alone. Boom.
Comic books have been around for almost a century, and in the last 2 decades, we've finally gotten to see many of these characters brought to life in movies and on TV. On the Moving Panels podcast, we discuss movies and TV shows based on, inspired by, and adapted from the world of comic books. Join me and my guests as we discuss both the good and the bad from Marvel, DC, and even some of the lesser-known comic book companies. Learn what is and isn't from the comics, as well as our nerdy review of the movie or show. New episodes drop every Monday, and you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. So join us for Moving Panels, and I'll see you on the other side of the page.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and listen to an 80s Flick Flashback podcast once in a while, you could miss it. Do you love movies of a certain age? Do you miss the days of VHS tapes, VCRs, and the video rental stores? Does the thought of another 80s movie being remade seem inconceivable? My name is Tim Williams. I'm the creator and host of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. On each episode, I'm joined by guest co-hosts to discuss one of the many movies released in the 1980s. We share our first-time watch memories, our favorite scenes, and even learn some behind-the-scenes stories about the cast and crew along the way. New episodes are released every other Friday on your favorite podcasting platform. So make like a tree, get out of here, and go listen to an excellent episode of the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast. The ad is over. Go home. Go.